Welcome into the Empty Bottle Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Danny, alongside, as always, Corey and Zane. Got my side here. We always start off with our drinks. I got some white wine in front of me. Corey, what do you got in front of you tonight?
Going with water. Been a little under the weather. We're trying to make a comeback here. We're probably sitting at about 85% recoup, so I'm going to try not to ruin that with some liquor.
Good idea to keep it healthy. Zane, what about you?
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm doing today sparkling ice, so sparkling lemonades. Probably my favorite non-soda drink, so that's what we're rolling with.
Awesome. Good stuff, guys. So tonight we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We got 3 segments on deck here, and each of us are going to host tonight. So I'm going to start off with my subject. Zane's going to have his, and then Corey's going to have his, and finish this off also with some final thoughts and get us out of here too. So let's jump right into it. I got college football on deck here. My question is to you guys, which one-loss team has the best chance to make the college football playoffs? Zane, we'll start with you.
Yeah, it's a great question. A lot of great one-loss teams, but for me, it's Texas. And I know we spent a lot of time on Texas this year. It has been fun, a little bit of a meme, but for me, it's Texas. They do, to me, have the weakest schedule moving forward, and they are ahead of some of those other one-loss teams. So to me, if they win out and something happens in front of them, they will be the first in line. And that's really. Do I think they're the best one-loss team? That's tough, especially with the injury to Quentin Ewers. Probably not. Even though we do trash on Bo Nix, I do think Oregon's probably the best one-loss team. But I think Texas has the best chance to get in. Right now, as it stands, without playing a ranked team to close out the season, I think they will run the table.
Yeah, great point, because now their biggest competitor, Oklahoma, has lost now to Kansas and their rival, Oklahoma State. So as long as Texas takes care of business the rest of the way, I mean, they got the inside track to the Big 12 championship game. Kansas State was probably their biggest threat to that being ruined, them getting to the championship game, and they pulled out a squeaker. And like you said, Quinn Ewers, him being out, that's tough. I saw him firsthand as backup in Austin this past weekend. Awesome environment, by the way. Everyone should go down to Darrell Royal Stadium, I think it is. Great stadium, great atmosphere. It was a great experience. But I don't know if that quarterback, if he's going to carry you to the college football playoff. I could see them having a hiccup if Ewers is not back. It was also interesting that Arch Manning didn't come out at all. But then again, he is a true freshman. So we'll see how that story goes from here on out. Corey, what do you got as your one-loss team making the college football playoff?
Yeah, so Texas is a good pick. I was kind of wrestling with that myself. They do kind of have they control their own destiny in a way, to the degree that a one-loss team can, I guess. I am gonna go with Alabama. If they were to run the table, go to the SEC championship game, and then I believe they would probably play Georgia here. If they beat Georgia, the number 1 team in the country, then I don't know how they don't get in with one loss over another one-loss team. The Nick Saban thing, that still carries a lot of weight. I feel like there's going to be some talk on the playoff committee. I could see that happening. Bit of a preemptive strike, but Ohio State's going to have a loss at the end of the year, so they could squeak in too. Because they have to get through my team, and that's just not happening. So there's all of that, but for now I'm going to say Alabama. Oregon's also a scary one. We saw what they did with Washington, took them down to the wire. Washington's clearly a great team. I still hold that not one team in that entire conference has a defense with a pulse. So
No.
I'd love to see one of them play a defense. It's looking like Penix is going to run away with a Heisman here, and without playing a single defense the entire year. It's like, yeah, go up against some JV high schoolers. Obviously not really D1, but still, it's just, I just don't respect the defense in that entire conference. It's hard.
No, Oregon probably is the closest thing to it. What the Big Ten West would call a defense. That they're probably the most similar. But outside of that, they really that's just like a foreign word or foreign language in the Pac-12. Well, for one more year. That is, we'll see how they do in the Big Ten. But I agree with those picks. Big Ten, you need some help if you're not Michigan and Ohio. Like Penn State, they need some help with the loss to Ohio State. They need to beat Michigan, and then they also need Michigan to beat Ohio State. So like a lot of things has to happen over there. Big 12, the race is wide open. I feel like for Texas to kind of just defend their inside track, and then so there's a lot of things in play. I would still go with Texas with Zane, but the Oregon pick is interesting. That's still very much in play, and that's a very good looking Oregon team. And we know we all have our opinions in Bo Nix. It's pretty unanimous on that show, but that doesn't mean they can't at least get to the Pac-12 championship. All right, Zane, let's kick it off to your segments. And what do you got for us?
Yeah, been a great NFL season so far. It's just so I mean, football season's just really the greatest sport. We have so much content. So we're gonna go over to the New England Patriots playing over in Germany this week. I do like the international games. You get football from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So just a straight day
Yeah.
of football. But we're going to put Bill Belichick on the hot seat. He has not looked great. Offense
Ooh.
hasn't been good, and unfortunately, um, their rookie draft pick Gonzalez got injured. He was playing well early in the season. Their defense did look good, but the clock is ticking for Bill Belichick. So I'll ask you guys, and I'll go over to Corey first. Bill Belichick is on the hot seat. Who is most likely to replace him if they lose this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, at least I'm seeing a lot of reports that Vrabes out of Tennessee is a likely option. That Kraft considers him a home run pick. I think that's fairly likely. I think that's obtainable. I think his time in Tennessee is running out potentially, and I think that would be a mutually agreed upon split there. Tennessee, it's looking like they might have had some life with the Mayo boy, but there's just not much going on with that roster. They probably use a fresh start. And Vrabes, I mean, we know he's got an offensive mind, so he could make some waves over there on New England's coaching staff. That's my pick. I think there's some other options that would be decent, but that seems like the most likely one to me.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything, but maybe it is out there that Tennessee wouldn't want to hang on to Mike Vrabel. But I mean, for me, if I'm Mike Vrabel, definitely I would entertain that move. But if I'm also Tennessee, I think I'm trying to keep Mike Vrabel. Danny, what are your thoughts on Mike
Yeah.
Vrabel and who you would have replacing Bill Belichick if he does in fact lose this week to the Colts, who are not a very good team?
Yeah. I don't think he would ever get fired mid-season. I think it would be kind of like a forced retirement if he was ever to leave the Patriots. I don't think he'll ever get fired, let alone in the middle of the season. Mike Vrabel, that's a great pick. I would say that is maybe the most inside track one if we're going to hire another head coach from the NFL. Another dark horse pick, Josh McDaniels, maybe. Probably not though. Not with how that's it.
With how fast he lost that locker room,
No, sir.
Yeah, my thing was just like the familiarity with New England. I wasn't sure, but I do want you guys to keep your eye out for Nick Saban, Alabama Crimson Tide. He has proven everything he has in college. He's won multiple national championships. He did not get a fair shake down in Miami. He did not get to draft who he wanted. I think you'd want to have the GM role like Bill Belichick did, and he's kind of like a carbon copy of Bill Belichick, maybe just a little bit more innovative and maybe a little bit more spark that he can bring to the NFL. I think that would be that's my dark horse pick, but Mike Vrabel is probably the more logical pick if we're going to pick from already established NFL head coaches.
Yeah, those are some hot contenders. I will have to disagree with the Nick Saban contender, though. I think what we've seen in the NFL is
Okay.
you need a coach that players are going to rally around. So you look at Antonio Pierce, right, taking over for Las Vegas Raiders. That team really rallies around him, wants to play for him. Last year, Steve Wilkes coming in to Carolina at the to replace Matt Rule. They never gave Steve Wilkes a chance to be that head coach after that half season, but that team really rallied around him. So if we were going to pick a college coach, I know it's hyperbole and memes, but I would pick Deion Sanders before I picked Nick Saban for sure.
What?
But
What?
I'm not gonna go college. I wouldn't go college. If there's somebody who's gonna get a good look, to me, I think it's Bobby Slovic. He is the offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans right now, who everyone thought would probably be the same record as Carolina, 1-7. They're 4-4, looking. They have a top 10 offense. This is his first year as a true offensive coordinator. For the past 6 years, he was the passing coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. So he comes from that Shanahan tree. So I think that could be a great option for the New England Patriots, who kind of need to get in this new age offensive game that Bill Belichick seems to not be able to um, kind of adapt to right now.
Right.
All right. I think we're
Yeah.
just going back to that Shanahan tree.
The Shanahan tree does
Always back to that
provide.
Shanahan tree.
All right, Corey, you've
Between
got
that and time.
some more NFL for us. I'll kick it back over to you for the final segment of the day.
Yeah. So we're going to go with another hypothetical situation here. Maybe a little less hypothetical for you guys. But if your sorry, that was rude. If your team were to have if your team were to have the number 1 overall pick, who are you taking? Now, obviously, there's a couple of different routes with that. You could go best player, you could go position group, you could go fitting the needs. Danny, I'm going to throw it to you first. If your Chicago Bears have the number 1 overall pick, what is your play?
Quarterback. Specifically, Michael Penix Jr. Caleb Williams has fallen down the draft. Probably draft stock. It's fallen. And the Bears should be. Before I jump into the players, I'll start with the position group. But the Bears should be drafting a quarterback every single year until they finally hit. They have wasted way too much talent. They have not found anyone. They've dealt with mediocrity for way too long, and they've just kind of settled on okay quarterbacks that really just don't wow you. And then they keep them for like 3 or 4 years when plenty of good quarterbacks have passed by in the draft. And instead they take the flyers on other position players that really do not have an impact on your franchise overall. So you need to draft a quarterback, especially if you have the number 1 overall pick. I don't care if you think it's a reach. You just got to do it until you finally find your franchise Hall of Fame quarterback. You have not had a Hall of Fame quarterback or someone worthy of leading your franchise since Sid Luckman, since I don't even know, decades ago, or at least half a century ago. So you need to draft a quarterback. Player-wise, Caleb Williams, he would have been my pick probably about 4 weeks ago. A lot can change. He's falling quickly down the draft stock, and not only the play, but it's just maybe some of his comments, letting his raw emotion out on the sideline, crying with his family. I get it, it's raw emotions, but if you're probably the other players, it probably doesn't give you a lot of inspiration to see your starting quarterback do that. Maybe behind closed doors, I don't know. At least I don't mind it in college, but I don't know if you'd want your franchise quarterback doing that after a week 2 loss against Tampa Bay. I just don't know if you'd want that. So I'm going Michael Penix Jr. just because he just seems like he's a Heisman front runner, and his injury history does scare me, but otherwise the talent looks awesome. So that's my pick.
Yeah, that's a fair pick. Honestly, yeah, you guys heard it here first. Danny Juarez, he hates USC. He hates Caleb Williams. He's taking Bo Nix number 1 overall, which is insane. And he doesn't believe men should be allowed to show emotion. All right, Zane, we're throwing it over to you.
Yeah, if I'm the Chicago Bears and I had the first overall pick, I would just be sweating bullets, man, because I've gotten it wrong year after year after year. And sometimes you want that second pick so you can throw your hands up and be like, the best guy got taken, so we didn't have a choice but to take the second guy. So, man, if we're sold on Tyson Bagent, then I'm taking probably Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison Jr.
No.
Or I'm taking Brock Bowers, which would be the most insane first overall pick of all time. But I mean, young quarterbacks love tight ends, and Travis Kelce, Rob Gronkowski, Kittle. I can't think of the guy's first name. Is it George? George Kittle.
George.
have proven that you need a tight end.
Wait,
So we could see a surprise Brock Bowers
wait.
pick.
We're gonna have the number one and most undoubtedly probably the number two pick. You're gonna take Marvin Harris Jr. and then follow that up by Brock Bowers,
Dude, we'd
and
have
you're
an
gonna have
elite
Tyson Bagent
offense.
throw to those
Zane
two.
wants to see Chicago burn to the ground.
Oh my god!
You're not starting over your franchise. You said wipe the city and try again.
Guys, we would be Kansas City.
Great talent, but you're gonna have Bagent sign or you gonna be having
But
him
you could
sling it to
look
him.
in the
He could
second
barely get
round.
over your offensive line.
In the second round, you could get Riley Leonard from Duke, J.J. McCarthy from Michigan, Quentin Ewers. You could get all those guys in the second
You
round.
can't have my quarterback and ruin him. No.
Dude, he
You
started
can't have
Brock
JJ
Bowers,
ruin him.
Marvin Harrison, and DJ Moore. Don't forget we have DJ Moore. That's just elite.
He's going to have
that's
a
just
graveyard for an O-line.
That's elite roster construction that I should sign up.
There you go. Gosh. Oh, my goodness.
Tyson Bagent won't even be able to get the ball off. He wishes he had Joe Burrow's offensive line.
He's like a pro, like full-time CrossFitter, so eventually he'll be good, right?
His dad wins arm wrestles. What more do you want, all right? Oh, gosh. All right, if my Brownies, if they were to have the number one overall pick, which, by the way, we're not even going to have a first-round pick until like 2072 because we took the Denver. So we're hosed. Can I say that on this network? I don't even know. Anyways, if by some miracle the Browns were to sell their souls and get a number one overall pick for next year, I would take Marvin Harrison Jr. every day of the week, twice on Sunday. You got to give our idiot quarterback somebody to throw to, and if Amari Cooper may or may not be gone after this year, I think we take the most pro-ready wide receiver out of college football I think I've ever seen in my entire life. The kid's crazy, honestly. There's a mid quarterback on Ohio State's roster throwing the ball to him and sometimes to the wrong team. He can't throw for the first half of every game, and Marvin Harrison still puts up like 180 yards a game. It's insanity. And you know who he's throwing to every time. Every time. You don't have to guard anyone else. I mean, not that they don't have a talented roster and wide receiver room, but you know where the ball's going, and it doesn't matter. You could double, triple it, touchdown. Don't care. So I'm taking Marvin Harrison Jr. If something were to happen to him, I'm obviously not doing a Danny and taking Bo Nix. That would just be insanity.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I'm taking Marvin Harrison. Zane wants to see all of Chicago burnt to the ground. Danny, I don't even know what to do with you either. How are we feeling,
I'm burning
boys?
it down either way because we are going to ruin someone's QB career. We are. Inevitable.
Well, you're talking to a Browns fan. It's what we do best, you know? Brock Bowers. Awesome. How are we feeling, boys? How's the wind blowing? What are our final thoughts on it?
Wind's blowing great. Texas game in Austin was awesome. Check out our video on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. We got some great content from this past weekend, so check that out. Definitely gonna be back soon. Also, great barbecue.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Yeah,
Zane, how are you doing over there, buddy?
Dude, I'm just riding high on this Brock Bowers pick right now. I'm ready to take this league over. Just ready.
You know, somebody save the receipts. Clip this up. When he's the next Travis Kelce, Danny and I have to eat our hats. Like,
honestly, if they draft Brock Bowers number 2, I'll eat a hat.
Oh my gosh! I think that Danny eating a hat and I eating a hat is a great way to sign off.
Brock Bowers isn't making it out of the top 10, so if you want him, you're gonna have to get him at 1. There's just no other way.
No.
Zane's really praying that they get that number 2 pick and the pressure's off as the Bears' new GM. All right, we should probably wrap it up here, guys. Thanks for watching, as always.